When most of us go for a hike in the Adirondacks, we tend to march uphill, aiming for a summit. I like to be contrary. That's why I'm signing the register this morning at the trailhead for OK Slip Falls. My friend and Curiously Adirondack partner Josh Clement and I are heading downhill. On this frosty morning, we're going to visit a spot far from any mountaintop, deep in the forest. The trail that will take us there leads 3 miles and a little more from a parking area on Route 28 near the village of Indian Lake to one of the highest plunges of cold, clear water in the region. The forest is good-looking and reasonably diverse for the North Woods. In the main, it's a mix of beech, birch, and maple, the so-called northern hardwoods, with hemlocks and pines mixed in to vary the scenery. The ground is thickly padded with fallen leaves, some old, some new. Out of these leaves rises a leafy salad of wood ferns. A second sign along the trail confuses us. We decide to put our faith in the arrows on the right. The trail is typical of most. It sends a hiker's boots up, down, left, and right. Unless you're obsessed with your own fitness, the idea is not to make time. It's to enjoy the journey as much as the destination. We come to a big eastern hemlock. I gaze up into the tree's crown. Hemlocks were logged heavily in the Adirondacks during the 1800s. Their bark, rich in chemicals called tannins, was prized by my great-great-grandfather Louis Brownell, who owned 2 leather tanneries. I'm glad he didn't get this one. It's a beautiful walk so far. Lots of nice trees, a lot of beech forest and sugar maple, some pretty big trees, yellow birches. And then we've just passed through a hemlock grove. And now we're heading on. We're probably about halfway to the falls, somewhere around that. And we're looking forward to seeing it. This is a waterfall I've heard about for years, but never had a look at. Somebody did a lot of hard work on this trail, putting in boardwalks and blazes and cutting some of the big trees across the trail. And it's a beautiful day to be out on it with colorful leaves on the forest floor. One of the really great things about the Adirondack interior is just how wonderfully peaceful and quiet it is much of the time. If you hear sound, right now the sound is just the rustle of the wind in the leaves. Lovely. I tend to trip a lot when I walk. Maybe I'm looking for a porcupine up there, a squirrel or something too. So yeah, when you walk, you got to spend a fair bit of time studying where your feet are going. But that's okay too. There's a lot of interesting things on the ground. Just the beautiful leaves on the forest floor right now are really something to see. A lot of these beaches haven't changed color yet. It's just like we're all individuals. We all have, different eye color, hair color. There's a lot of variation from one person to the next. Even though we're all the same species, it's the same with beech trees. So not only is every tree on a slightly different timetable and turns slightly different shades, but the individual leaves on a particular tree are all sort of different too. So as you look around here, you see leaves on beeches that are yellow, others that are coppery, others that are sort of a deep bronze, some bright yellow, and some fully green. That's pretty in here, this stretch. It's opened up a little bit. We've got some sun coming through the forest. Beautiful rock outcrop over here. Always nice to see a little bedrock, or that might be a glacial boulder, a half-buried one sticking up out of the soil. Here we are, king of the hill. Classic Adirondack babbling brook, babbling away softly. Drains the tension right out of you listening to the sound of a brook. Here's a chickadee. Let me see if I can call it in. Well, that didn't work very well. That sound I'm making is called a pish, P-I-S-H. Sometimes birds will hear that sound and fly right in to have a look. And it's a rough approximation, I think, of the sound that a lot of songbirds make when they see a hawk or an owl or a house cat, even something dangerous to them. They send up the alarm by making a sound, something like that. So when we imitate it, the birds tend to want to come have a look and see what the fuss is all about.
I know that as we approach the falls, we'll hear it. The English Romantic poet William Wordsworth wrote that the sounding cataract haunted me like a passion. I prepare to be haunted.
Well, I think I hear the sound of moving water. So OK Slip Falls must be close. It looks like a cliff up ahead. Whoa, there it is. This is beautiful. Apparently it's called OK Slip Falls. There was a lot of logging went on here in the old days, and there was a chute that the logs were sent down to get them down into the Hudson River. The chute was also called a slip. And when somebody sent a log down into that chute, it was dangerous for the people down below. So somebody would yell, "OK, slip!" And that would let everybody down below know to be careful that a log was going to be flying through the air. There comes that beautiful white water pouring over the edge off the brink and dropping and cascading off and finally reaching an ice-cold pool down at the bottom. Water falls out of the sky, lands on top of this dome of rock we call the Adirondack Mountains, and depending on where it lands, it might flow north into the St. Lawrence or east into Lake Champlain, south into the Hudson, maybe west, and eventually into the Mohawk, and eventually into the Hudson that way too. So the water radiates out from the central Adirondacks. They're like spokes from a wheel. And OK Slip Falls water is headed right down, not very far, into the Hudson River, the mighty Hudson.